Good morning, students. As we have started with the 10th standard science, that is the chemistry, metals and the non-metals. So many things we have discussed about the physical properties and chemical properties of metals. So today let us learn about how do metals and the non-metals react with each other. How there is a reaction between metals and non-metals. As we know in our previous classes, students, metals, they have a tendency to lose the electrons when they want to become stable. And what about the non-metal? Non-metals will gain the electrons to become stable. Right? So that is the tendency, one chemical property of the metals and the non-metals. Right? So let us learn with examples how the metals and non-metals react with each other. To know that, again we have to recall about electronic configuration. Hope you remember, in the previous year we have learned how to write the electronic configuration of the elements. So let us recall about that. Let me take the example of the sodium. Okay, its atomic number is 11. Its atomic number is 11. So let me write the electronic configuration of the sodium, students. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1, 6, 8, 10, 1, 11. 11 electrons I have distributed. Means what happened? The first shell with the 2 electrons, second shell with the 8 electrons, third shell with the 1 electron. Right? K, L, M. The first shell, we will call it as K shell, second L, third M. So in this case, the first shell, K is having 2 electrons, second with the 8, third with the 1 electron. Fine. As we know, students, so this sodium is having 1 electron in its outermost shell. If it loses this 1 electron, then what happens? The first shell with the 2 electrons, second shell with the 8. So 8 electrons in the outermost shell means it will become stable. Right? So it will occupy its nearest inert gas structure it will take. Right? Okay. So this is about a metal. When it is going to lose its electron. Okay. So when it loses its electrons, now 11 protons are there. By losing this 10 electrons, means what happens? Sodium, by losing its electron, hope you are understanding, by losing its electron, it will become positively charged, that is Na+. So you are going to call it as sodium cation. Positively charged ions are the cations. So you are going to explain this as sodium cation. When this happens to students, when it is going to lose its 1 electron. Okay now? Fine. This is about the metal. Keep it in one side. Let us take one non-metal like chlorine. The chlorine, its atomic number is 70. As we know, the chlorine atomic number is 70. Write the electronic configuration, students. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. Count the number of electrons. 6 plus 4, 10, 16, 18 it has become. So what I should do here? It will occupy 5 electrons. 6 plus 4, 10, 10 plus 2, 12, 12 plus 5, yes, 17. Correct? So first shell, K shell with how many electrons? 2, L with 8, M with 7 electrons. K shell with the 8, sorry, 2L. Now what students? All the atoms, elements, it may be the metal or non-metal, all the elements, they want 8 electrons in its outermost shell to become stable. Now here how many are there? 7 electrons are there, right? So by gaining one electron, this will become the configuration of 288, so that it can become stable, right? Just now we have discussed metals are having a tendency to lose the electrons and non-metals are having the tendency to gain the electron. So chlorine, by gaining the electron, it will become Cl minus. Minus in a sense, it is called anion. By gaining the electron, it becomes the Cl minus. So this is the tendency of metals and non-metals. So let us see what happens when metal and non-metal react with each other. Right students? Let me take the example of the compound sodium chloride, NaCl, common salt. Right? So what I will do, Na, it is already having 1 electron in its outermost shell and it wants to lose it. So let me write the atomic structure students. This is the nucleus, the first shell with the 2 electrons, second shell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 electrons, and the outermost shell with how many electrons? 1 electron, right? The same thing, let me write about the chlorine. This is the nucleus of the chlorine we will take. The first shell with the 2 electrons, second shell with the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 electrons, and the third shell with how many electrons students? 7 electrons. Just go see there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now what should happen? This has to give out 1 electron and this has to receive 1 electron. So sodium will give out 1 electron and chlorine will receive 1 electron to become the compound called NaCl. Right? So it has become one compound called NaCl. So this is the tendency of reaction of metals and the non-metals. Take down students, we will discuss one more example. Yes students, let us discuss one more example of reaction of metals and non-metals. Let me take the example of magnesium with atomic number 12. Write the electronic configuration students. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2. So don't want any confusion. So these numbers are nothing but they are representing the number of electrons. Count it will be the same, right? So this is the electronic configuration. Means what happened? K shell with 2 electrons, L with 8, the outermost shell M with the 2 electrons. So when it will become stable students? Yes, when it will lose its outermost 2 electrons, it can get the inert gas structure. Okay, fine. Let me take one more non-metal, that is chlorine again. Just now we have discussed about the chlorine, that is 2, 8, 7. Just now we have discussed, so I am writing only 2, 8, 7. So how many electrons are there in the outermost shell? 7 are there. How many it requires to become stable? It requires 2 electrons to become stable. Okay, right. If I am taking the compound magnesium chloride, the compound magnesium chloride, MgCl2. How the compound is formed? Okay, take the magnesium. How many electrons are there in the outermost shell only I will represent, students? So as you know, you can represent the electrons with a dot or with a into mark through a wish. So magnesium is having 2 electrons in its outermost shell. Fine. How many chlorine atoms are here? 2 chlorine atoms are there, and each chlorine with how many electrons? 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is one atom of chlorine. Let me draw one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Correct? So this chlorine atom requires one atom to become stable, and even this requires one atom, sorry, not atom, students, one electron to become stable. And in the magnesium, how many electrons are there? 2 electrons are there. So it will share one electron with this chlorine and one electron with this to become stable to form as a MgCl2. Right? Take down, students. So students, what happened here? What I want to say, magnesium is the metal which is transferring the electron to a non-metal. Chlorine is a non-metal, right? So it is transferring the electrons to a non-metal. A metal, by transferring its electrons to a non-metal, it is going to form a compound, and this is called as ionic compound. Ionic compound. What is this ionic compound? There is a transfer of electrons. There is a transfer of electrons from a metal to a non-metal. So such a compounds are called as ionic compounds. And between magnesium and chlorine, there is a force of attraction, and that force of attraction, it is called as ionic bond. That is called as ionic bond, and the compounds are called as ionic compounds. So what are the few examples of the ionic compounds? Like sodium chloride. Completely they have to ionize, students. Na plus Cl minus, Mg plus and Cl minus, MgCl2. It may be NaBr, sodium bromide, Na plus and Br minus, calcium oxide, magnesium oxide. So these are all few examples for the ionic compounds. So what type of bonding is there between metal and a non-metal? That is ionic bond. The force of attraction between these metals and non-metals is by transferring of the electrons. Right? So these are called as the ionic compounds. Yes, students, we have discussed that metals will transfer electrons to the non-metals. There is a formation of the compound, and that is called ionic compound. The force of attraction between metal and non-metal, that is called as the ionic bond. So let us discuss the properties of the ionic compounds. Few important properties we are going to discuss. The first one, ionic compounds are a solid. Ionic compounds are a solid at a state, and they have a very strong force of attraction. They have a strong force of attraction. Just remember one example, students, to remember these properties I am telling. Sodium chloride. How it has formed? Na plus Cl minus. Right? By forming the ions, by reacting as a cation and anion, you are getting the ionic compound. The force of attraction between these two is very strong. Right? So this is the first property. And remember, these are brittle. You can break it easily So this is the first property of the ionic compound. The second one, they are having high melting point and boiling point. Ionic compounds are having high melting point and a boiling point. See, take the salt, you just try to heat. You have to provide very high temperature, students, as because the force of attraction is very strong and that is what you require, more temperature and all. So we can conclude its melting point and boiling point is very high. Okay. The next property, they are soluble in water. Ionic compounds are soluble in water and they are insoluble in organic solvents. Which are all called organic solvents, as you know. It may be the petrol, kerosene, carbon tetrachloride. So these are all the organic compounds. In fact, you don't find the dissolving of the ionic compounds. They can dissolve only in the water. So that is called solubility. So these compounds are soluble in water but insoluble in the organic solvents. The next one, they can conduct electricity. In molten state. In a molten state. What is molten state? We are going to take the salt, put it in the water, dissolve, make it into salt solution. Now you pass the current and all. What happens there exactly? They will start dissolving as Na plus and Cl minus. That is what you can pass the current. The meaning is they can conduct electricity in the molten state but not in the solid state. Okay. So just now we have discussed the properties of the ionic compounds that the molten state of the ionic compounds can conduct the electricity. To support that, we are going to discuss one experiment. So you have taken one beaker. The beaker, you have filled it with a salt solution. Okay. To take two graphite rods and arrange the electric circuit. Battery, bulb, switch. So like this you arrange the electric circuit. When you pass the electricity, okay, when you pass the electricity, what do you find? You find there is a glowing of the bulb. You can find that there is a glowing of the bulb. With that, you will come to know that there is a passing of the electricity. So what happened here? You have taken the salt solution. Nothing but it is an ionic compound which has started forming as Na plus and Cl minus. They started moving towards the respective, one is anode, one is cathode, no? So they have started moving towards the respective graphite rods. That is what you find glowing of the bulb. So this is one experiment which helps us to know the property of the conduction of electricity of the ionic compounds in the molten state. Okay, that is what you have made the salt solution. Fine, students? Yes, so this is about the metals and non-metals, how they will react with each other. After the reaction, what compound is formed and what are all the properties of that compound. Okay, students? Remaining we will discuss in our next class. Take down this diagram and practice and read the textbook. That is today's home assignment. Right, students?